This is Logan Sekulow. It's debate night in Nashville, Tennessee, round 2.
Live from Washington, D.C., Jay Sekulow Live. Phone lines are open for your questions right now. Call 1-800-684-3110. And now your host, Logan Sekulow.
Welcome to the one and only flag-waving, God-praising, trailblazing, heck-raising radio show. It's the Logan Sekulow ReProgram takeover of Jay Sekulow Live. And Will, we usually are here for debate coverage, but today we're here for debate preview.
That's right.
Because tonight in Nashville, Tennessee, it is the one and only second debate.
I like the way you said that.
I was on it myself. It's a final debate.
Yeah.
But it was also the second debate, and we are just
it was
all
originally
hoping.
Supposed to be the third debate, but
yes.
The second one was canceled. And rightly so.
Yep.
There
was like multiple reasons.
There was a lot of things that happened.
I don't know if you remember this.
That.
It feels like it was 6 months ago. It was only about like a week ago,
right?
2 weeks ago, whether it was President Trump contracted coronavirus, or then later on them changing the rules, wanting to do the virtual town hall thing, and then they did the dueling town halls.
And then Steve Scully, he's been indefinitely suspended from C-SPAN because of his lies about being hacked when he indeed was not hacked, when he was reaching out to Anthony Scaramucci on Twitter. So a lot of controversy around something that didn't happen, but tonight we have the final debate. It would have been the third debate. It's in Nashville, Tennessee at Belmont University.
Everybody's in Nashville, man. Nashville is the place to be tonight for this debate. And it should be, hopefully, a little bit more. It's a different style, right? This is not, there's the same kind of
the second
deal.
one was supposed to be the town hall.
Yeah,
this will be more traditional style. It is Kristen
very
Welker
similar topics.
from NBC News is hosting this debate or moderating this debate. This is the controversy surrounding it with the mics will be automatically muted of the non-speaker during the first 2-minute uninterrupted response. That caused some controversy. We'll see how liberal they get with that mute button tonight. If they decide, well, these things weren't really on topic, so we're just going to mute a speaker at our will. It'll be interesting. Like I said, it's at Belmont University. It is a 90-minute debate like the original one. There are some crossover on topics from the first debate, which the president's campaign was not necessarily pleased with. They wanted it to focus on foreign policy like it had been billed from the start. Instead, they are going to revisit the race in America topic that Chris Wallace brought up, leadership, which is very similar to his topic of their records, because that's essentially the same way to say the same thing. And then the other topic was the economy and climate change that they're also going to be getting into. Very similar lineup of topics that have been announced by the moderator.
Yeah, and look, if we want to hear what you have to say, I want to know your point of view. What do you want out of this debate? Does it even matter? Have you already voted? Have most people already voted? That's a big question. There's been so many votes already cast. Does this do anyone any favors, good or bad, just because so many people have already voted? I have not voted yet. Will, I don't believe you've voted yet.
I have not voted yet.
I hope to. I know early voting is happening right now. But I want to know from you guys, what do you think? What is your thoughts? What do you want? Are you going to be even watching this debate? Does it matter anymore to you? Or did last time it turn you off so much due to the chaos and the coverage that you're not going to? I'm just curious. I want to get your point of view. I want to get your feedback. Give me a call. 1-800-684-3110. That's 1-800-684-3110. Also, wearing my Bald Beagle shirt because we just put out a new video. It's actually a second follow. It's a follow-up to our George Washington Love to Dance. If you haven't watched that, go watch that on YouTube or on baldbeagle.com and check out our new quiz to see if your kids and you were listening. And there will be a brand new Bald Beagle video dropping next week that will help your kids and maybe you figure out the whole electoral college process. So make sure you're subscribed to that channel on YouTube and that you support the work of the ACLJ and Bald Beagle at baldbeagle.com. But again, give us a call, 1-800-684-3110. Phone lines are lighting up because I know you've got some opinions, and I want to hear them. We'll be right back with more on the ReProgram Takeover JSL. to Jay Sekulow Live. This is Logan Sekulow. It's a Logan Sekulow ReProgram takeover. Will Haynes is here. We're talking about the debate preview. Also, we're going to get a little bit into what was going on with Coney Barrett's continual confirmation. There were some positive movements today. We're going to talk about that. I know a lot of people are calling. We're going to take your calls. Don't worry. If it's busy, keep calling. There'll be lines will open up. 1-800-684-3110. But again, it is obviously debate night in Nashville. There's a lot of people talking whether the Hunter Biden situation is going to be a big conversation. Will they go through all of these? Will he say what he's going to do? You say, well, there was a little bit. Joe Biden did clarify some of his court packing thoughts. I know that was something that came out because those are kind of a few things that I feel like we're all anticipating. Should there be that conversation? Should there be a final answer about the court packing? And should the Hunter Biden situation, when it was kind of a contentious thing last time, remember, it was not necessarily come off as eloquently as
well, there wasn't as much known.
That's what I'm saying. There wasn't. It just seemed
point.
like an attack on a guy with a substance abuse issue, which I agreed and said I didn't think that was necessarily the best move. However, there's been a lot in the last few weeks that has come out about that situation. Some of it known, some of it unknown. I think it has to play in tonight.
Yeah, and I think that Vice President Biden in the first debate felt like he could go more on offense because he was going after issues that, like the handling of the coronavirus and things like that, things that he thinks are winning issues for him and his campaign. And when the president tried to bring up some of those issues, because they weren't in the news as much at that point, that it came across like it was a desperate attempt to bring something in the conversation that many people watching probably didn't even really know what he was talking about unless you are really locked into this type of presidential politics debate.
You've got to be a hardcore
people that listen to our show that really follow the politics, that really watch what's going on. They understood where that was coming from, but the general person that just sits down to watch a debate because they haven't even really thought about the election until that time, it may have not made as much sense where it was coming from.
I did want to...
All that has changed. Yeah, I was just going to say all that has changed because of the laptop that has gone into the news. It's shot up to the top of many news broadcasts, not as many on the left, but it raises questions about some of the maybe the deals and things that Hunter Biden was doing overseas and if he was using access to his father as a way to seal some of those deals. And also the court packing, he was able to dodge it. Vice President Biden was able to dodge in the first debate. But I feel like it's really going to come to head tonight. He will have to answer. And there was a clip of an interview that will air on Sunday on 60 Minutes that he says that his plan, if he gets elected, is to put together a national commission of bipartisan scholars, Democrats, Republicans, liberal, conservatives, and I will ask them over 180 days to come back with recommendations as to how to reform the court system because it's getting out of whack. So it seems like he's going to try to thread the needle here, not fully say, I want the court to be packed. He's going to let someone else make that decision for him. He's going to have a bipartisan commission, which I feel like whenever Democrats put together bipartisan commissions, it's so hand-selected. It's like all the conservatives that have endorsed Biden for president. It's never a true bipartisan commission where it is the most conservative legal thinkers in America and liberal thinkers to come together and hash this out. But it does sound like the end goal there would be to make reforms to the Supreme Court, which how do you reform that? I think you're going to try to pack the court. That's definitely a slippery slope,
and I think a lot of people have issues with that. I think people on both sides have issues with that. When you have a 200-year almost precedent to then start messing with that for your own political gain, your own political party's gain, I'm not down for that. Now, listen, I want to address something. If you're watching on Facebook, I know we're having some technical problems. We actually did have to cut the feed and relaunch it. That was us. We did that because there is some sort of glitch. I think we sound okay, but I know thousands of you usually watch on ACLJ.org right now. Not to move you off of Facebook because I love reading your comments, but on ACLJ.org right now, you can watch it. It's a YouTube stream. and it's running flawlessly. So if you are having any issues, hop on over there and you can watch the show. Obviously, I love you watching it here because I love to read your comments. But I just wanted to make sure people know that if you really are just listening, I think it's fine. But if you are watching and you want to smooth their experience, because you want to see Will and I without buffering issues,
right?
Hop on over to ACLJ.org. We're broadcasting live there right now. Let's go ahead and jump to some phone calls because it is slammed with people want to talk about this. We'll talk about the debate, then we're going to move over and talk about Amy Coney Barrett. It's confirmation a little bit later, but so many people are calling in about the debate. I think we need to hop right in. Let's just go in order, I think, because a lot of people have a lot of things to say.
Yeah, we're going to go to Jim in Louisiana on line 4. Jim, welcome to Jay Sekulow Live and the ReProgram Takeover. You're on the air.
Hey, guys. Great. I wanted to talk to you about the debate because I haven't heard anybody bring this up, but I know they have, and I wanted to get your thoughts on it. They have 2 minutes uninterrupted. But I was wondering, if Trump wants to, I know he's going to talk about the corruption and then the Biden laptop and all that stuff. So I'm wondering if he goes off topic, if the moderator is going to interrupt him or even cut off his mic because he won't stay on the topic that she wants to talk about.
Yeah, there's a lot of questions.
The big question.
Yeah, that's going to be we're going to see now. How long is the debate tonight?
It's a 90-minute debate.
I also I said this last time, I feel like that is not long enough. This is
when
short.
you factor how many topics there are, and then you do 4 minutes per topic, 2 minutes each, of uninterrupted talking points, then you're really only at about an hour of debate. And so to Jim's point, that is the big question. If they decide as the moderators or the debate commission or the producers of it, whoever's there and does have the power to mute the microphone, if there's a attempt by the moderator to then shut down the debate angle that the president or even Joe Biden, I highly doubt that they are going to do that. But if they don't want the president going into, say, the news about Hunter Biden's laptop and some of the questions that have been raised from that, will the moderator try to jump in and say, that's off topic? That's off topic. No, stay with the questions we asked. Even that would seem inappropriate and biased because during this debate period, I feel like they have the opportunity to kind of take it in their own direction.
And in this moment, we are finally seeing, polls-wise, a lot of you guys don't trust the polls. Look at polls and look, last time the polls were way off. And I think, honestly, most of our lifetime, the polls have been kind of off, Will. I think there's, remember even back to Romney and Obama, there was at least a glimmer that Romney was going to take it. And it obviously did not happen. It ended up being kind of, I don't think he ever took the lead. It was a pretty big landslide.
Right.
So you got to take the polls with a grain of salt. But there is that moment where you look at it right now, polls have tightened. So theoretically, if so many people hadn't voted already, polls had tightened, and this really could determine who becomes the next president of the United States. I don't know if that's going to happen right now because of how many people who have voted. How many Instagram posts have you seen now with people saying, I voted, or I voted by mail, or look, I have confirmed my vote counted? You're seeing that a lot. But you also are going to see a really interesting thing happen, I believe, immediately following, which you're right. We all remember the hanging Chad scenario. If you guys were back, or if you were around, not everyone remembers. I guess if you're under 20 years old, that was 20 years ago now, the situation where Bush versus Gore and what counted as a vote. Could we see another problem with that with the mail-in voting? Because we know a lot of people are having to, I have family in California, and I saw one of the California laws is having to make sure your signature matches.
Right.
And it matches the signature that's on your driver's license, which a lot of us, I haven't signed that in 15 years.
Well, it's also
and you have to go look, you're tiny.
Common cultural joke between everyone of look, my driver's license signature looks nothing like what I sign everything else as.
Yeah, so
using a digital pad, it's always wonky.
It's very interesting. I wouldn't even be able to tell you right now without looking at my driver's license signature what it looks like.
Yeah.
I don't think it's how I sign my name now. I haven't done it legit since I was 25. So who knows what that looks like when last time I had a real update. So I think you're going to see a lot of those things happen. A lot of questioning is going to happen if it's close. Now, it may not be close, and then you have a whole different debate happens, but it's going to be fun. It's going to be interesting. Look, it's a debate. It's a election season like none other. But we have 1 week under a week and a half until the election.
12 days, yeah.
12 days. And it doesn't feel that way. I'll be honest with you. I've been around for some elections now. This does not feel like we are that close.
Right.
And I think that's just because so many things have been thrown off. So many things are different. Our phone lines, though, are slammed. So I think the next segment, Will's a little longer, right?
Yeah.
Next segment, we're going to take some phone calls. We're going to do it for. We're going to try to get through these calls, and we're going to move on and talk, if we can, about Amy Coney Barrett and that situation. Also wanted to tell you again about Bald Beagle. I'm wearing the shirt right now. Check it out if you're watching online. Bald Beagle is our YouTube channel specifically for American history, aimed at kids, all age kids. BaldBeagle.com. You can support the work. That's a donation to the ACLJ, but supports the video production of Bald Beagle. Check it out. Welcome back to Jay Sekulow Live. This is Logan Sekulow. It's a Logan Sekulow ReProgram takeover. If you don't know what the Logan Sekulow ReProgram is, it's a show we do on YouTube. It's also on podcast feeds, but I really think you should watch it on YouTube. And Will and I, we have a lot of fun. There's a lot of laughs, but we also talk about news, politics, whatever's going on in the world, and we cover it all.
Right, everything from politics to why was stir fry so popular in the 90s?
Yeah, we just put up a YouTube clip called the stir fry craze of the 90s, something like that. Go check it out. It is honestly right now on our YouTube channel, youtube.com/Logan Sekulow ReProgram. Just search for Logan Sekulow on YouTube. Subscribe. If all of you watching would subscribe, that would be awesome. Because then we have more people, and we're going to get great guests. I already have some great guests lined up. We already had amazing guests. We've had on a lot of our friends, John Rich, other people. I know he's doing the debate preview tonight on, you can find that on Fox Nation. So check that out. Go check out our back catalog of episodes and special guests. Again, that's at youtube.com/Logan Sekulow ReProgram. Please click subscribe and tell me in the comments if you're watching on Facebook right now that you subscribed, and I would really appreciate it. Should we go to the phones?
Yeah, let's go to Carol calling in on line 6 from Texas. Carol, welcome to Jay Sekulow Live and the ReProgram Takeover. You're on the air.
Hi, Carol.
Thank you. Y'all do a great job. Thank you so much for what you do.
Thank you.
I'm in total agreement about President Trump toning down the rhetoric, but I really hope he will find a way to bring up foreign policy and how that affects us. He has been so successful in that area. He's basically transformed the atmosphere of the powder box that is the Middle East against all odds. And the only way the Dems can deal with that is to censor it, is to totally ignore it. So I'm praying that he'll find a way to talk about it at least a little.
Absolutely, Carol. I think that's something that a lot of people want to hear. It was supposed to be, Will, really the whole debate.
Right. This was always billed as the debate on foreign policy. They were going to get into the issues. And when Kristen Welker announced the topics, we've got fighting COVID-19, American families, race in America, climate change, national security. Okay, so that's one.
You can pivot into
leadership. Yeah. But national security is only a very small segment of foreign policy. When you look at, I think the Middle East is the decisions story. Make you safer in ways, so they tie in. But I don't know that directly when you talk about the peace agreements between Israel and Bahrain or the UAE, the Abraham
the story.
Accords.
To me, that's the story. The story is the Abraham Accords. It's Bahrain. It's the UAE. These are big moments that are reshaping the Middle East in a way that no one thought could happen, and it's never been done under any presidency. Love him or hate him, you can't take that away from him. They have had an impeccable record right now in terms of dealing with the Middle East crisis, which has been going on since the beginning of time. And you look at that, whether that's if you're a supporter of Israel, obviously you have the move to Jerusalem, but even beyond that, the fact that you can now freely travel or begin to start travel between these nations, if you've never been there, you've never experienced it, it's hard to really wrap your head around how big of a deal that is. And I do think this should hopefully give him a little opportunity to talk about that. If not, again, it will be missed. That is why I think 90 minutes is just a joke. It should be at least 3 hours, in my opinion, with maybe a 3 15-minute breaks, something like that. Give them a break, give them time to get themselves together, get a drink of water, do something like that. But 90 minutes, I mean, you're talking about the length of a kid's movie is I think insane. I really in this year where you can get so much content in so many places, you're talking about a debate one of only 2 presidential debates that is a length of, Hannity plus a half hour. You know, like that's, or this show. It's the length of this show plus a half hour. Do you really think that's how we should be deciding who's going to be president? I know that's not necessarily that popular of a thing or anyone's really talking about it, but personally, I think it's a really missed opportunity to get real substance.
And when there is so much repeat in the content, it really brings to question, why did the Commission on Presidential Debates decide that this was the right thing to do? And as conservatives, a lot of times it feels like the deck is stacked against you, like the elites in media and in commissions like this, like they don't want the positive things that conservatives have done to be brought to light. And we're not alone in thinking that. Bob Dole, back on October 9th, he tweeted. So Senator Bob Dole ran for president, very held up as a statesman, but also not like a far right conservative Tea Party individual type person.
Very outspokenly not supportive of the president.
Right. And so Bob Dole tweeted this about the the Commission on Presidential Debates, and this was after the first debate. It says the Commission on Presidential Debates is supposedly bipartisan with an equal number of Republicans and Democrats. I know all of the Republicans, and most are friends of mine. I am concerned that none of them support @real Donald Trump. A biased debate commission is unfair. So when Bob Dole, who is an elder statesman of this country, has no real reason to even get involved at this point, decides that this is the moment to point out how biased this looks, I think it should speak volumes. And then when you see that the foreign policy debate is not going to be about foreign policy, it's going to be a repeat, I think it's an unfortunate time in this country.
Yeah, when he was the Republican candidate, I'm sure he went through it. Obviously, he was going against Bill Clinton at the time, President Clinton, and I went to that Republican National Convention. I believe it was my first one in the mid-'90s, whenever that was. I forget the exact year. It was 96, something like that. And I was a small kid, and you can even feel the room at that moment that likely this wasn't going to go for the conservatives. But I do think probably he's lived it. He's dealt with it. He's also, like you said, an elder statesman at this point. And, interesting. That's an interesting conversation piece. Well, there are 2 minutes, but maybe we could grab one quick call. Let's go quickly to Rebecca in California.
Rebecca, you're on the air.
Yeah, hi. Thanks for taking my call.
Hey, thanks.
Yeah, I just wanted to speak real quick on the debate, and I really hope he takes some notes from Pence tonight.
Yeah.
Pence is so classy and presidential, and we're huge Trump supporters, and my husband had to walk out of the room. He couldn't even finish watching that first debate.
I understand. I don't think necessarily maybe that happened also in my household. There was some frustration there where people got really upset with that first debate, and I don't disagree, rightfully so. Now, when it comes to whether this will take on the tone of the Mike Pence, Kamala Harris debate, I highly doubt it. I hope you're right somewhat, Rebecca. That's just not really the style of either of them. Even Joe Biden is more aggressive in that sense.
Joe Biden was the one who started the interrupting and kept saying things like, "Will you shut up, man?"
Right.
Things like that. It wasn't even like he was. It
wasn't just I'm speaking.
It devolved for both candidates into this kind of verbal brawl on television, but it wasn't like it was just the president as the mainstream media would like you to believe.
We'll see if Kristen Welker can pull it off and do a better job than Chris Wallace did. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. Hopefully. I hope she can do it. You may know her from her appearance in Transformers, Revenge of the Fallen or something like that, right? One of the Transformers. I was reading that on
your favorite of the Transformers movies.
Yeah, I was reading up on our bio and it popped up. Hey, for a lot of you don't catch the second half hour of Jay Sekulow Live, you should watch us on Facebook, facebook.com. Search for Jay Sekulow or at aclj.org. Support the work of the ACLJ, aclj.org. Check out Bald Beagle, baldbeagle.com or youtube.com/baldbeagle. And check out the Logan Sekulow ReProgram and my channel, which has new content every day on YouTube. We'll be right back on Jay Sekulow Live Takeover. Hi, I'm Logan Sekulow. Right now, your kids are stuck at home trying to learn online, and the ACLJ is here to help. We believe the great and sometimes complicated history of our nation is too important to let anyone overlook. But there are people out there right now, even political leaders, that have called to abolish history classes. That's why we came up with this exciting new project that will offer fun and educational video content that you can share with your children and grandchildren. It's a brand new channel from your friends at the ACLJ. We call it Bald Beagle. Bald Beagle. I know it's fun to say, and yes, our logo is a half bald eagle, half beagle, but it'll be even more fun to watch. Bald Beagle will have your children's interest at heart with great content that at times will feel over the top and ridiculous, but it's actually very serious business. If you believe in this mission and want your kids and grandkids to benefit from an educational entertainment platform that honors the same core values you do, visit baldbeagle.com today.
Live from Washington, D.C., Jay Sekulow Live. And now your host, Logan Sekulow.
Welcome back to Jay Sekulow Live. This is Logan Sekulow. Logan Sekulow ReProgram Takeover, Will. And we just did about a half an hour. What's going on? You're ready.
You keep going. I got something to say in a minute.
Okay.
About Bald Beagle.
Okay. We'll talk about that when we get there. Facebook, obviously, if you're watching on Facebook, thank you. Appreciate it. I know a lot of people do watch on Facebook. If you are getting a choppy feed over at aclj.org, it's broadcasting smooth as silk. You can find that there at aclj.org. We have a couple more calls, and we'll try to get to those about the debate. And then, Will, I do want to talk about Amy Coney Barrett.
That's right. You want to go to that now?
I thought you had something else to say.
I was just saying we just played in the break, if you're watching online, the ad for Bald Beagle, and you've been talking about it throughout the show. You're wearing the Bald Beagle shirt.
The one and only shirt.
And Delia Payne on Facebook asked why your shirt doesn't have the actual Bald Beagle, the icon of the channel.
Are you just asking me?
Yeah. Why'd you go with just the text and not the icon, the dog, with the wings?
When we do the show, you read it.
Well, but it could be people that I want to know about that dog.
Well, that dog is I like the Bald Beagle dog, which is a half beagle, half bald eagle. But no, that's just so when we were doing the show here, you would see the full logo.
I get it.
There's no obstruction of justice. It's just Bald Beagle right here.
Yeah.
And, thank you. And, I like it. And also, my wife made this with a die cutter she has.
Oh, nice.
So also it was less work to be like, can you also cut out this entire creature? And I'd like it to take up just the part that's not on the air.
See, there is an answer. There was an answer.
There was an answer to the question. Let's go back to the debate coverage, though, Will. Let's go to Sonia, who's calling in New York on line 5, and try to get through some of these. Sonia, welcome. Thanks for holding.
Hi, thank you for taking my call. You guys do great work.
Thanks.
I just want to say that I hope that Trump is able, when they talk about race, to remind them that in 2016, Chris Wallace asked him the same question. He not only denounced it, but he named the groups by name. Yep. And also to make a contrast between Biden and him, where Biden did the 1994 crime bill, which resulted in the unfair long-term imprisonment of a lot of blacks, and yet his prison reform, and also the fact that his own vice president candidate actually denounced him for the racist that he is, for the fact that he didn't want his children growing up in a racial jungle.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Sonia, that's a lot to unpack, but I agree. A lot of people are talking about that. I've seen a lot of that on social media, playing older clips from the president where he did specifically denounce. And look, I think that was an issue. People felt a little uncomfortable with maybe the answer, but he does have been on the record many times in denouncing these groups. Could he have been handled better? Maybe.
I feel like that's part of the problem, though. Is it's like he's almost exacerbated. Like what
else
why
are you
still asking me this? Because even like the Washington Post and fact-checking organizations point out that the good people on both sides comment is wrong, because immediately after that he says, I'm not talking about the groups I denounce, like white supremacists, neo-Nazis. Like the entire clip is being taken out of context, and then people like Chris Wallace, they perpetuate this false narrative that he's celebrating the groups that he is denouncing very clearly and has for years.
Look, like regardless of that, I think also what you have to look at is the way that question you said was framed. I think same way to Joe Biden. There was some question with the court packing questions. Some of these questions are not. If you've done debate 101, are ways you don't answer those questions. You don't answer the questions that are essentially setups to then hit you with something else.
You don't concede that part of the argument because the narrative, the premise they set up is false to begin with.
The premise is you're a racist.
Right.
And then, okay, so let's move from here. You can't do that. So I think that part of that is debate prep and ways you're not, again, as a presidential candidate or as anyone who's done debate, you're not really supposed to, again, concede that point because it'll get flipped on you really quick. So I can kind of see that. I hope you're right, though. I hope he does come out with some different stuff tonight. I hope they both do. I hope there's actual substance. That's really what I'm looking for, substance from both candidates, and I hope it happens. Give us a call, 1-800-684-3110. Will, I promised we were going to talk about this. We will talk about it in the next segment. Let's talk about Amy Coney Barrett and the confirmation process that's ongoing. We'll be right back. Welcome back. Again, it's obviously debate night in Nashville, Tennessee, but we are going to talk about some other topics, Will. This morning, Amy Coney Barrett, potential future, most likely justice of the Supreme Court, was voted out of committee.
That's right. So the Senate
unanimously.
Judiciary,
unanimously. Look,
big surprise.
That doesn't happen that often anymore. Bipartisan, unanimous. Maybe not.
No, you got to stop me there.
Unanimous support for all those that were in attendance. 12-0. 12 votes, yes. 0 votes, no. But there were a bunch of empty chairs.
There were 10 to be precise, because the committee is made up of 22. There are 12 Republicans on the committee, and there are 10 Democrats. And this was some talk that had, when the president first announced her nomination, the Democrats were trying to figure out their strategy. Were they going to try to find some procedural tricks to try to stall this or maybe even defeat this nominee? Or were they going to just not participate?
Right.
And they took a little bit of a hybrid road. They didn't participate by meeting with the judge before the hearings, as is customary.
And that ended up with some really bizarre questions being asked in public.
So then they participated in the hearing process where they were asking questions. Almost all of them were there. Some were there remotely. But they took part in that process. Now, today, this morning, they voted whether or not to send her nomination to the full Senate. And that's what the Judiciary Committee does. They vote.
Step 3 or step 2.
Right.
And then eventually get to confirmation.
And theoretically, they could even say we don't recommend sending this, but the Senate Majority Leader could still take up the nomination.
Yeah.
But what we saw was all 10 Democrats boycott this part of the confirmation process and didn't even show up. So it resulted in a unanimous recommendation by the committee to send Amy Coney Barrett to the Senate for a full confirmation vote. That looks like it will be Monday. There are some procedural things that have to happen in the Senate.
Right.
And then she will be confirmed. And then at some point next week, there will be some official swearing-in ceremony, and she will be the next justice on the Supreme Court.
After, now fingers crossed here, after we went with Justice Kavanaugh, the fact that this is over in just a matter of weeks is mind-blowing, because you forget this is sort of the norm. Now, obviously, the norm is not that people don't vote and they don't show up, but that the process is usually pretty smooth.
Right.
You ask real questions, hard-hitting questions. If they answer, if they seem qualified, as Lindsey Graham has always said, he voted for Kagan, voted for Sotomayor because he felt like these were people who were qualified. Whether he agreed with them politically or not didn't matter. These were qualified candidates, and maybe it's how it should have been done previously. But you look here, and it's changed. So much changed in the last couple of years.
I think that the way that Judge Barrett conducted herself in the hearing, she was very poised. She was respectful to the questions, even when many times they were not as respectfully being asked of her. She also showed her command of the law and the facts to a level that I have never seen. Your brother Jordan said it was similar to the way that Chief Justice Roberts, he was like that in the hearing with no notes, and was just able to have a command of the facts and recall like very specific details about deciding certain cases.
That's what you hope for, too.
It was incredible to watch.
If you're going to pick only 9 people to be, deciding the law here, this is the kind of person you want in this role. Let's play some bites. you pick out some good bites? I want to hear from what happened this morning. I think our people would like to hear that. If you're watching on Facebook, you have to see some of it, but I think it'd be important to hear maybe from Lindsey Graham, maybe from John Radcliffe, and play a couple things you feel like some best of hits from this morning.
Yeah, well, let's hear from Senator Graham. This was this morning, and this is Bite 13, talking about Judge Barrett and them reporting her out of committee to the Senate.
Today, I want to celebrate. I want to celebrate the fact that Judge Amy Barrett will be reported out of this committee unanimously, that to all the young women out there like Amy Barrett, this is a big day for you. To the country as a whole, you're going to have an associate justice on the court that you should be proud of. This is a good day.
There you go. So that, again, was from Senator Graham. And, things are moving. Things are proceeding. I like what, though it was, people didn't show up today, it was kind of a quiet day.
Right. If it were not the season that we're in, it was a day without really a ton of fanfare.
Not even in like the top 10 stories.
It.
People aren't even really talking about it. As obviously they're excited. People were hours away from the debate. People are excited. They want to hear that. They want to see what's up. But this is really some stuff that could really affect your life and change the future.
That's absolutely right.
Any other things you want to play?
Well, there are some other information came out last night because there was a joint press conference held by the FBI director, Christopher Wray, and the director of national intelligence, John Ratcliffe, about some election interference. And they announced that there has been some voter data taken by the Russians and by the Iranians, and it was being used by the Iranians. They were using it to do some voter intimidation, kind of some of the stuff you saw in 2016, where it seemed like it was just trying to sow chaos. And there were some emails that were sent that they traced back to the Iranians that were posing to be members of Proud Boys, because the Iranians, I guess, watch the news, probably MSNBC, and they understand what they're talking about, what's the hot button issue. And so they held a press conference last night, and this is some sound from Christopher Wray. I'm going to play bite number 11 because
who's this again? Who's coming
this
from
is
Christopher Wray?
The FBI director,
Chris Wray.
Let's play bite 11.
We are not going to tolerate foreign interference in our elections or any criminal activity that threatens the sanctity of your vote or undermines public confidence in the outcome of the election. When we see indications of foreign interference or federal election crimes, we're going to aggressively investigate and work with our partners to quickly take appropriate action.
So I feel like that's the appropriate thing for Christopher Wray to do, for the Director of National Intelligence to do, to say, this is what the left has been clamoring for 4 years about. Be careful about the Russians, be careful about foreign election interference.
And now that's happening.
Now that they're saying, look, we've caught some things. Yeah. This isn't going to undermine the integrity of the election, but we want to let the people know we caught this. We're working to put a halt to anything like this. But, I always get the newsletter from our buddy Brian Stelter over at CNN, reliable sources.
Jump, jive, and whale.
And his newsletter last night, this was the headline. It said, "The presser that wasn't." Top story across major news organizations Wednesday night should have been former President Obama's stinging rebuke of President Trump. But almost immediately after Obama delivered his speech, something peculiar happened.
Oh, something weird.
John Ratcliffe and Chris Wray assembled an abrupt press conference to talk about this. All of a sudden, for the mainstream media that have been pushing this narrative of Russia, election interference, what is the Trump administration going to do about it? They don't even care. Yeah. They don't even care if the Russians are
they come out
interfering.
Here, they say, look, we're working on it, and there was some stuff, and we're helping to make sure it's taken care of. You got Chris Wray out there. Look, is the Barack Obama news any news that his own vice president that he's out there endorsing and really promoting? By the way, what? A week out?
Right.
Like, also a little
good job there.
A little late, millions of votes later, but whatever, to each his own. Barack Obama.
But the fact that CNN, after all this, after all we've been dragged through for the past 4 years about the Russians are influencing our election, they complain, well, why? Well, people aren't talking about Obama anymore.
Yeah.
Like, that's their what is going on?
Yeah, the conversation
it shows how disingenuous this is.
Or they're just feeding the inbox with what people want to hear. And look, you may want this to be Barack Obama and you Joe Biden. And look, I understand why. It's personally, regardless how you feel politically, I could at least understand the situation with Barack Obama. I mean, a talented guy, a gifted speaker. But now you have Joe Biden out there. I don't necessarily get it, but whatever, man. But you have Barack Obama yesterday. He had his stinging rebuke of the president, as if that's a shocker to anyone ever. And the fact that that's newsworthy. Then you have a real news press conference by Christopher Wray and their FBI director. And
do they not want them to address this? Like, that's what I don't understand.
Maybe this becomes a situation like the Coney situation last time where, there was the press conference and then the other emails and then flip-flopping, and maybe they're trying to avoid that kind of disaster again. Right. Or maybe they are just, like you said, just trying to make sure that I think, honestly, we should write a newsletter.
We should.
They're popular again, right?
They are. People love a good newsletter, but only in print.
Yeah, we'll send it in the mail. It's going to be late.
It'll be so dated information once you get it.
Well, you'll find out who the president is in a couple weeks. Maybe. It'll be,
We'll write it
like
now,
when a war would end and it would take months to get back to.
Right.
Like
the soldiers. You're talking about the American Revolution. Is what you're talking about.
Civil War, all the wars. It takes time. That's what it's going to be like for us. So, don't get it from your social media or your 24-hour news. Just wait for it in the mail.
We'll check our facts before we send it.
We got to get people to sign up. They got to find a printing press, which I feel.
We know a guy.
Yeah, Gutenberg.
He invented
that one. Yeah, it's been a while. All right, hey, we're going to take your calls, 1-800-684-3110. I don't even care the topic. Just give me a call, 1-800-684-3110. Phone screener.
Thanks to your support of the ACLJ, we have had many victories.
The IRS now formally apologizing to Tea Party groups.
The IRS did the right thing by resolving the case with an injunction that mandated a complete change of the IRS nonprofit tax-exempt work as it relates to issue advocacy organization.
If any group feels like they're being targeted, they can go to federal court and bring our case. That's a victory.
It's one of the most significant wins in the ACLJ's history, to take on the IRS and win.
For more than 27 years, the ACLJ has been fighting for freedom and liberty in the United States and around the globe.
These are young people in their 20s and 30s that are doing this, are fighting for life at a whole new level to beat back the abortion juggernaut. We've got a whole group of young lawyers that are defending them.
Those of us that believe in life know that we're on the right side of history. We understand full well children are children, and they're precious in God's sight, and they're precious in our nation's sight, and they're precious to parents.
But I actually think we're winning. This is one of the social issues we're winning.
The release of Andrew Brunson. He is the American evangelical from North Carolina, held in Turkey for more than 2 years.
They're rushing us to the airport, and there was an Air Force plane that came from Germany that had been on standby. We're flying, and they finally left Turkish airspace. It's like, okay, now we're really out of Turkey and free again.
We're grateful to ACLJ who put it out to these people, they were getting all this out.
All of the people who prayed for us through ACLJ and through your contacts, I'm thankful, I'm grateful, and actually I'm astounded.
We need your help as we continue this work here in the United States and around the world. Join us online at the American Center for Law and Justice at aclj.org.
Welcome back to Jay Sekulow Live. This is Logan Sekulow ReProgram Takeover. If you don't know what the Logan Sekulow ReProgram is, Will and I do this show pretty much every day, and you can find that new YouTube content available on my YouTube channel. This will be my last pitch for that because I really want you to. There's thousands of you watching right now, millions listening. Here's what I want you to do, because it helps me out a lot, and it helps us grow on a new platform that maybe we haven't done as much content, but we are pumping out brand new content. You'll like this show. It's a little more fun, a little more irreverent. We still talk about the news you like. We have great guests. That's at youtube.com/Logan Sekulow ReProgram. Subscribe, hit the bell to get notified when we put new episodes up, and take a look. Even just if you're like, I don't remember, go to YouTube, just type in Logan Sekulow. You'll see the channel. Click subscribe. I'm watching the numbers right now. Dozens of you have done it right now, but there's thousands watching. So please go ahead and do that. Hey, Will, I just got a Fox News alert on my phone. It's these celebrities say they're voting for Joe Biden. I feel like that's a long list if I open it. I feel like that's
right.
I feel like all of them but Chris Pratt is what it will say.
And 50 Cent.
And 50 Cent.
Right, he came out this week saying he's
maybe Chris Pratt, and then we'll put some random Ted Nugent, the normal Kid Rock, the normal conservative celebrities. Did you see that with Chris Pratt? You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, there was a whole situation.
There was like a Marvel, you know who Chris Pratt is? He was Star-Lord in the Guardians of the Galaxy. Yeah, he hasn't supported any candidate publicly, not even a political guy really. But he didn't do the Marvel Cinematic Universe. They had like a Zoom Biden fundraiser.
Right.
And he was absent.
Didn't participate, right.
And people went after him. A very outspoken, he may not be outspoken politically, very outspoken Christian, a guy of deep faith, is very involved in his church. You've heard his stories before. And what was finally cool is you did see a lot of the more liberal co-stars, whether that was or whether Robert Downey Jr. or Mark Ruffalo coming to his defense and actually coming to defense of Christianity.
And his faith, right.
Which was kind of a cool moment. I have to say, one, I love Robert Downey Jr., so it made me love him even more because he was like, this man is a real Christian and supported him and said, the guy didn't want to get political. Look, there's half the country, regardless of how you feel, half the country would feel, that their views are not necessarily being heard by those from the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And we know even people within Marvel that there's a lot of mixed. There's a lot of Democrats and a lot of conservatives running Marvel. So I think that was an interesting move. One that gave me a little bit of feelings of people can actually be like civil with each other.
Right.
And they were horrible to him. They kept saying he was the worst Chris of the three Chris, the Hemsworth, Evans, and Pratt. He was the worst because he potentially is a conservative and is a Christian. And thankfully you saw some of Hollywood saying, you know what, this guy's our friend. They may not do it for someone who's not their friend, but that's fine, whatever. Who cares? They're doing it for people who they know they've seen, and I thought that was pretty cool. Also made me happy my son was a Star-Lord for Halloween a couple years ago. So
and I think that Chris Pratt has been kind of a breath of fresh air within Hollywood to some degree because one, even if he's not. He's just not political.
Right.
And that's what
But he's building a cross in his backyard.
Right. You see that. He's very outspoken about his faith. And that makes me happy. One, that he can be a role model within Hollywood, not just to his co-stars, but to people that are watching the films that he's starring in. But on top of that, the fact that, one, it shows he's genuine about it, that his co-stars recognize that and say, whoa, whoa, whoa.
Yeah.
Don't go after him for this. This is not okay. It does kind of, in a world where you think of Hollywood of being the liberal cesspool, that there's nothing
no
good
room for a Christian,
can come
no room
out
for
of
a
there.
conservative.
That they will come to his defense is very refreshing, and it makes me happy. Maybe I'll go watch the Avengers this weekend or something just to say thank you for sticking up for your co-star. In some of the films.
You can finally watch Endgame. It's been a while.
What's that?
That's the final of the most recent Avengers.
And they're snapping in it? Or am I thinking of West Side Story?
They're both.
Okay.
They're snapping in both West Side Story, and this is what you get on the reprogram, by the way.
Right.
And Avengers, Endgame and Infinity War. Lots of snapping.
Oh, okay.
What's another snap? The
Is
Addams Family?
Endgame or Infinity War first?
Infinity War is first.
Do
And
I need
then
to watch them in order? Or
snapping
can
also in the Addams Family. I don't know if you've ever seen that. Yeah.
Yeah, very seasonal right now.
Our buddy Rob just put up a video where he is every member of the Addams Family. You should check that out. I've shared that on my social. Go watch that. He's doing a great 13 days of Halloween or something like that. Videos. Unlock the Creative. Take a look at that. He did a video against the Addams Family. My kids love it. Let's take some phone calls up before we run out of time. I know this segment went off the rails, but you know what? That's why we bring Logan and Will in. Someone said that our show, when we take over, that gave them great joy because it was like that moment in school where you were sitting there waiting for class to begin, and all of a sudden a temp, like a sub, would come in with a projector ready for a movie day. Yeah. And they said that's always what it feels like when we host.
Movie day.
We're the movie
That's
day,
great.
which is like a breath of fresh air. Let's go to Sharon. You've been on hold for a while. Thanks for listening to that. In Kansas, you're on the air. Get us back on topic, Sharon.
Thank you for taking my call, and God bless you guys for what you do.
Thank you.
Just a quick question. If the Republicans if we win and stuff, is there anything Congress can do to block them from packing the court in the future?
Well, to block a future move, there would have to be
I just passed that to Will, by the way.
there would have to be a constitutional amendment or something of that. Or they could probably do a statutory limitation, but that could also be more easily repealed. There actually have been a group of senators that have introduced a constitutional amendment which would bar the court packing. It would keep the number of justices at 9. I really don't see that happening in this political climate. It's very difficult to amend the Constitution because it's not just Congress, it's not just the president. It goes to the states having to ratify this. It would be a very difficult process, I feel like, in this climate to get that to happen. But I do think if the Republicans maintain the Senate, we're not going to see that pass. I do think also if they did get to that point, if the Democrats won the Senate, they will definitely try that if it's a Biden presidency and a Senate. But I could see some people that maybe have a midterm election that are Democrats maybe defecting at the end because it is such a drastic move that there could be some moderate state Democrats that are nervous about doing something like that.
And you have to remember, this is a weird issue because a lot of people don't even know about the Supreme Court. And that's just the truth. A lot of your voters couldn't name the justices. A lot of them couldn't tell you how many people are on the Supreme Court. Maybe they won't be able to tell you what the Supreme Court does. That's a sad reality in America, but you know what's true? That's why we got Bald Beagle coming out to explain all these things. Trust me, there'll be a Supreme Court episode, I'm sure, coming that maybe we'll have to update if Biden becomes the president. So we'll see about that. Again, check out the latest Bald Beagle video. New one on the Electoral College coming next week. Perfect time to explain it to your kids and maybe explain it to yourself because even a lot of us have a lot of questions about that. Let's move on. Let's go to Gus. Quickly, Gus, in New York. We're running out of time, and thank you for holding.
Yes. Okay, Gus. I live near Fredona, New York. My mother's in a nursing home. She's been in a nursing home for a couple of years. And I questioned them today about, because I receive her mail at my house usually. I questioned about if she's going to vote or how they do it. And they said, oh, yeah, they applied for an absentee ballot. My mother doesn't even know my name when I see her. And they said that they assist her in filling it out.
Yeah.
And they show her where to sign and they seal the envelope for her. And I questioned that. I said, well, my mother doesn't know her name. She can't pay her.
Hey, guys, I don't mean to cut you off because we are running out of time, but I think I understand your point of view. I think there's going to be a lot of those questions, a lot of voter issues. Hopefully, though, just a week and a half, we can get through it. Maybe that won't happen. But I think all signs point to yes, if this was a magic 8-ball, and we'll see. We'll see about that. Check out the work of the ACLJ, aclj.org. Check out the Logan Sekulow ReProgram on YouTube. Just search for it. You'll find it. We're there. Until next time, if you see a storm brewing in your life, don't worry. Give 15 minutes. It'll pass.